Welcome to Talk Travel with Heather Tate, North Mississippi's podcast for savvy travelers. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is a weekly podcast that airs every Monday on the Shark 102.3 FM radio station based in Ripley, Mississippi, and is then released as a podcast. Travel advisor and travel enthusiast Heather Tate of Whimsical Destinations gives listeners expert travel tips curated through the years of personal and professional experience. By clicking subscribe, you'll have a new travel tip to add to your collection delivered to your podcast library every Monday. Talk Travel with Heather Tate is brought to you by Sun Bear Studio. Sun Bear Studio is a boutique recording studio in the heart of Ripley, Mississippi. When you record with us at Sun Bear Studio, we can mix, master, register, and publish your music, your podcast, or your family story. Email us when you're ready at sunbear@jc.media.
This program was recorded at Sun Bear Studio in Ripley, Mississippi.
Good morning, Northeast Mississippi travelers. This is Heather with Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and I am so excited to share my adventures and tried and true tips with you. Whether you are also a seasoned traveler, a hopeful traveler, or currently an armchair traveler, meaning you're going to follow along with us from home for now. This is our 163rd episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate, and this week is all going to be about fall, your fall bucket list. Now, if you know me, you know that as soon as the weather cools down, I am instantly thinking about my personal fall bucket list. Every year, I try to pack in as much leaf peeping and pumpkin loving charm that could impress the Gilmore Girls themselves. It's my favorite season. I love all the seasons. There's something beautiful in each one, but something about fall to me just speaks to my soul. So I asked on our Facebook group, Heather and Logan Tate Whimsical Destinations, I asked to find out what was on everyone else's list. So before I share mine with you, before I run away and share that with you, I wanted to share these because I wanted to hear what was on your list, to get some ideas, to give you some feedback. And so that's what I'm going to do today. And there's some things that I'm still going to research because some of you asked some great questions or had some ideas for things that you needed some help with your fall bucket list. So here we go. Let's get started. The very first one that jumped out to me on our Facebook group fall bucket list was a New England and Canada leaf peeping cruise. Now, I have actually done this before, and it's a really funny story because Christian was not even a year old when we did this, and I actually booked this cruise the day after he was born while I was still in the women's hospital in Tupelo because I was waiting to have an exact birth date so I could book the cruise for the four of us. So Logan had left the room, came back in. I had my Chromebook in my lap, and he comes in. He's like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm booking our cruise for next year," because I had plans. We were going to do this fall New England, Canada leaf peeping cruise. It left out of New York. It was going to go to Boston, and it went to Maine. I was so excited about that, Portland, Maine. And then it was going to go to different ports in Canada, Nova Scotia, and I believe it was New Brunswick. So I was really excited to get to go to different places that were going to be fall themed. That was my whole agenda, to add some new states and to get to see the leaves changing. Now, it was beautiful. The weather was perfect. And we went mid-October, which normally would be peak leaf peeping season. That year it was a little late. So we were not in peak season. We were about a week or two early for it to be peak. Where in other times, that's when you want to be there, early to mid-October. So it can change a little bit every year. That's why there's leaf peeping calendars to kind of give you a heads up since it changes. But, normally October is what people think of for the leaves changing, especially in New England and upper New England. So I was asked, was that a great cruise to take? I absolutely loved it. It's completely different than any other cruise I had done before because most cruises I had done before were all about the sunshine and the beach, besides the Mediterranean ones. But it was different because we went to places you would not necessarily, associate with going on a cruise. Okay, another one that was on the top of everyone's list would be pumpkin patches. Now, I love pumpkin patches. And there are several that I enjoy going to. Wise Family Farms is always on my list for ones I have to go to. Also, the Blue Mountain Pumpkin Patch is fantastic, and I've been there several times with my boys throughout the years on field trips. And I think that there's no reason to just pick one pumpkin patch. Go to your favorite one and then add one that year. So that's what I recommend. So go to the one that is you absolutely love, and then go to a different one as your second one every year. Try one that's new. I had a request this year for a pet-friendly pumpkin patch. And so that is going to be something that I'm on the lookout to give some suggestions. So if you know of a pet-friendly pumpkin patch, or maybe there's a certain time when pets are allowed, then, let me know. And I'm going to add that on our Facebook group so I can share that. Okay, another recommendation for the fall bucket list was camping for Halloween. Now, my kind of camping is not going to be tent camping. It's going to be a cabin in the woods with the leaves changing beside a babbling brook. Like, that's what I imagine. But it's a great time of year to go camping because the weather is so crisp in the mornings and in the evenings. It's almost unbearable in the summer. I know people love to go camping in the summer. To me, it is just too hot and humid to even think about it. Fall would be the only time of year I could be convinced to maybe go tent camping, but I'm still going to need an air mattress. I'm sorry, but I'm definitely going to prefer a cabin. So my idea of roughing it is like a state park cabin. Like Tishomingo State Park has some beautiful cabins. That would be fantastic for the fall. So if you're thinking, I want to go camping, tent camping's not my thing either, just like me, then think about doing a cabin in a state park, Tishomingo, Tom Bigby. There's lots of other options. Or maybe stay in a treehouse. I have some guests that are staying in the Flying Carpet Treehouse, which is in Coleman, Alabama. We stayed there in April for an early anniversary trip, and it is like Aladdin themed. Another fantastic option that if you have not stayed here already, and I know you've heard me talk about it, is the Tishomingo Treehouse. Fern Gully is just beautiful. I went, let me see, it would have been late winter, like early spring, the first time I went. And I'm telling you, I cannot wait to go back and see it in the fall because I know it'll be amazing. I will post a link in this episode for you to be able to access that. Let's see. Oh, my best friend, she just had to throw in there. My best friend moved just within the last year to Asheville, North Carolina. And do you know that if you were to go to AI and to ask for some fall trip ideas, Asheville, North Carolina was the first recommendation it gave. So my best friend moved to Asheville, so she doesn't have to go anywhere. Her fall trip this year on her fall bucket list will be her staycation. She'll get to watch the leaves change basically in her own backyard. Biltmore is very close to her. So she'll be able to enjoy fall right there in her backyard in Asheville, North Carolina. I think it's going to be a good time for me to go visit her. Okay, so my personal list for fall. Number 1, leaf peeping. Always, at some point in the fall, I have to find some leaves. Now, that can be on the Natchez Trace, driving up and down. I do not ever miss an opportunity to take the trace, especially in the spring and the fall, but especially the fall because it's my favorite. But I'm going to go to the mountains in the fall somehow if I can help it. And this year, we have a trip planned for November. I say November because really in Branson, where we're going to go, it seems like the peak leaf season is first week of November. If you go to the Smoky Mountains, you're still going to see color in the mountains. Depending on the elevation, first and second week of November still can be beautiful. So we're going to go to the Branson, Big Cedar, Dogwood Canyons. I'm very excited about that fall trip. Apple picking, or at least apple treats. So I plan to find some every year. I love to go where I can pick apples. Maybe that's in Georgia. I've been in Virginia. So I have been before in Pontotoc and picked apples. So if you have some suggestions on great places for apple picking, I'd love for you to share those. A hayride and corn maze, that can be at a pumpkin patch, or that can be fall festivals. But I love to find these. I think it's just fun to be outside, and those say fall to me. A Harry Potter marathon, always on my list for the fall, but especially this year because we are going back to Universal, and we are going to go to Universal's newest theme park, which is Epic Universe, which has a new Harry Potter world as well. And lastly, a fall pilgrimage. Natchez, which I'm going to mention again next week, because next week we're going to go from family-friendly, fun, fall bucket list activities to a little bit spookier. And I'll talk more about Natchez next week. That's all the time we have for this week's episode of Talk Travel with Heather Tate. Thank you for tuning in to our really fun fall bucket list. I can't wait to hear some of your ideas, because I am always looking for ways to lengthen my own bucket list. Join us on our Facebook group. Remember, life is a great adventure. We get one, so let's make the most of it. Take the trip. Make those memories with your family, your friends, your loved ones. You won't regret it.
This show is made possible by JC Media, LLC in Ripley, Mississippi. JC Media owns the Shark 102.3 Classic Rock FM radio station where the show is hosted, and Sun Bear Recording Studio where the interviews are recorded. We need your feedback and support. If you listen to the podcast on a player like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Amazon Music, please subscribe to the show and leave us a review. We also have an email in which you can share your feedback. That email is theshark1023@gmail.com. Subscribe to our podcast on your favorite app or stream episodes online at shark1023.com/podcast. Today's episode was produced by Melinda Marsalis. It was edited by Rick Williams and engineered by Chris Marsalis. The podcast technician is Joyce Grady.